but all three are above above best price, so I'm fine with that. And as you can see from our garden, we've got the plastic up to protect our tomatoes. So those have to be sold sometime during December, but not necessarily today. So we'll take a look at that maybe a little bit later. Okay, let's hitch up on our tatty red looking grain cart. Should probably service some of this stuff sometime. Not right now. Maybe January. We really don't have anything to do in January. Okay, cereal factory. Goodness knows where that is. Look for the little blue flashing thing. I am not seeing a little blue flashing thing. Oh, yes I am, right there. Okay, well that's easy enough. And the other thing about this cart is it doesn't have a cover. Doesn't come with a cover. So I'd kind of prefer to be shipping to market with a cover. But it is what it is. I also changed the speed limit readout to kilometres rather than miles, just because all the street signs are in kilometres. Everything else I left as is, so we're still working in UK pounds, should probably be in euros. And I think where field sizes are in acres. Not that I'm really that familiar with how big an acre is. Can't remember what other units there are. I mean, the thing is with part of it is it's not all interchangeable. I mean, I think the US tends to use bushels when it comes to crop amounts. But then again, I think there's a factor of weight involved with bushels, whereas litres is fairly consistent over all of the grains. Okay, so we are going here. Well, doesn't say I can tip, but I can tip. So that's really not a lot of money. 1,900. Oh, this is going to be... Let's just say it's going to be a while with arable crops before we can actually afford to do anything with the income from them. I mean, we are making good money off of silage. Well, fairly good money off of silage. Good money off of silage contracts and hay contracts if you don't count the hay income, obviously, because hay is really not very valuable either. But again, that may be the hard settings. And I should really think about washing my tractor more often. So something that Virtual Farmer has said quite frequently is vehicles wear faster if you don't keep them clean. So keep your tractors clean and they'll last longer between services. From my testing, when the game originally released, the cost of repair was based on the value of the vehicle at the time you repaired it. And first patch that Giants did after release, they changed that to the value of the tractor when you bought it. So just because a tractor's getting older doesn't mean it gets cheaper to fix it. The oil change still costs the same amount as it did when you bought it. Which kind of, that really does make more sense. Okay, we are back. So, one thing I'm interested in. Let's. I'm in the wrong place. So, we sold the oats. That's good. Barley is worth 360. What is flour worth? 650. Now, the thing is with flour is you use flour, you don't get a full return on the amount of flour you make. However, it is worth more and the best price is now. So there is an argument to be made to I'm going to cycle through here, make sure. Yeah, it's just wheat barley. Okay, wheat 28. There is an argument to be made for doing productions. Wheat is quite heavy, so we're not going to get a full tank here. And where are we going with the wheat? I don't know. Eeny, meeny, miny, grain mill. Okay, where's the grain mill? It's in the same complex. So I definitely want to consider getting into some productions possibly sooner rather than later. We have the money. I could buy the grain mill now and just dump this all in the grain mill. Have it processed into flour and then possibly take it down to the bakery. Is there a bakery? And make bread. Okay, we are struggling up the hill here. So I would say, I mean, this trailer is probably a good fit for this tractor. It doesn't look completely ridiculous. Obviously, Massey Ferguson should not be hauling this thing anywhere. But we are at fully loaded weight with wheat. I'm not sure barley is as heavy. I think once we get to the grain mill, I will do a quick analysis, see if it's worthwhile buying it. I think production is, it's only about 60% more from selling flour over grain. However, when you factor in all the costs of running the facility, and then you've got to think about how much it costs to buy it. And we will need something to transfer the produced flour on. Maybe we keep the bale trailer. Does mean we won't get any income from the flour or from the wheat though. Okay, we'll stop here. So this is the wheat thing. The grain bill is 96,000, which will leave us with 40. Now, if we make flour can be sold at exports, the Moondog Bakery and the market. So let's look up the bakery. The bakery is all the way over there. Hi. Yeah. Somewhere there is a oh, it's the this one, right? So this costs 50,000. It's quite cheap, and bread can be sold for. So that's 650. That's 1,700, and the best price for that is also in December. But there is a peak in March as well. We could eventually do cakes, but that's a long way coming. So, questions. Do we buy the flour mill and turn all of our wheat and barley into flour? We've really wasted time here. I could have bought it ages ago and then have been milling it for the last 6 months. I think we do. I think this is a thing we want to get into. Oops. And bread is probably the easiest production to get into. It's not necessarily the most lucrative, but considering we're in hard mode and how much we are going to be making off of our grain, I think milling it and turning it into bread is probably going to be a better plan for us. And it does give us something else we can do when we don't have anything to do. We can come down here and move our flour off somewhere. So wheat flour. That's on. We can deactivate that, that, and that. Sorghum. We could plant sorghum. So that makes a little bit more flour. That makes a lot more flour. That makes less flour than you put in, and that also makes less flour than you put in. Okay, well, I guess we're making flour. But what we could then do is bring, I don't know, possibly. Now I'm kind of wishing I'd bought the skid steer that was for sale. Oh. There's a little Kubota skid steer on the store sales a couple of days back. And I thought, I really don't need one. But I think the telly truck would work quite well at that place. And the we could have a skid steer at the barn, the yard. And I think part of the reason for that, the skid steer is less likely to tip over lifting up bales, which is something I noticed the telly truck is very top heavy when you start picking up bales and hefting them to a great height. Okay, well that's the first round of wheat. We've got another batch of wheat to take, which I don't think's a full trailer load. And then we've got a ton of barley to move. Yeah, the one production to not get into is sunflower oil. You actually make a loss producing sunflower oil for some reason. And there are some mods. I think there was a modded oil mill that allows you to produce corn and soy oil in addition to olive, canola and sunflower. And it did boost the sunflower production, or the sunflower oil production, so that you end up with the sunflower oil actually making you a profit. But you make more money selling sunflower seeds than you do selling sunflower oil. Which is a shame, because I kind of like producing sunflowers. That was one of our major crops on Oakfield. Also, I'm going to jump out while that is not filling. There we go. Okay. I want to run over to see what the grass field looks like. Cows are still fine. Still have 380,000 litres of food. And yes, our grass is growing, needs rolling, needs nitrogen. So, this should not grow any. Oh, it's growth stage 2 of 3 though. A little bit worrying. So obviously I would like to get that fertilized, and if it reaches ready to harvest, then I can't fertilize it at that point. And I'm learning this game as we go, so I don't know if that is going to end up ready to harvest in March or still growing. But I mean, we only planted it yesterday and it's already at stage 2 of 3. So that's a little bit of a worry. Admittedly, no weeds, so that's good. I don't know. Because obviously I'm not planting 51 now until spring. We could do sorghum, we could do soybeans. I mean, there's still wheat, summer wheat, oats and barley. But, yeah. Many decisions to make, I guess. And I now don't have the money to buy Field 55, but I don't have to worry about that for a while. Obviously there will be more contracts. I haven't looked to see. There's a ploughing contract. I don't have a plough, I don't intend to have a plough, at least not in the near future. So that's not a contract I'm looking to do. I could do it with their equipment, but again, it's 1st of December. I don't need to be thinking about anything other than selling stuff. Well, actually, we're not actually selling stuff, are we? We're just delivering stuff for more stuff to happen. And I mean, another option for transport is I could use the TLX 2020 with the storage box on the back. That has an auto load feature, which argument says I could park it down here and they could just load flour into it as it's produced. And we can drive it over to the bread place and do stuff there. Okay, empty that. So that's a ton of wheat to be produced, or thing. Yes, it is wheat. No, it's not wheat. Flour. Stuff. White powdery stuff. We are now producing it. Okay, that's all the wheat. Let's go get some barley. Now the barley harvest was about 70,000, so we're going to be probably 4 truckloads, unless we hit the weight maximum on this tipper, in which case it could be more. I can sell the tomatoes sometime this month, and maybe we'll look at when's the best price for tomatoes. Actually, I could get a little bit more wily with the greenhouse production and look when the best price for each of strawberries, tomatoes and lettuce is, and make sure that I am producing the most valuable crop for the month we're in. Because I don't think they all sell at the same time. That was something I noticed with Maize Plus. One of the tutorials was a brief touch on how to modify the value of the additional Maize Plus crop types. So like hay, dry grass, conditioned grass, etc. Whole crop silage versus grass silage versus maize silage. And there is a modifier for each month. So you can change which month the best prices happen. So, I need to check the silage bales too. Maybe we'll do that while this is loading. Silo is empty, silo is not empty. So that's 89%. I think that's going to be ready tomorrow. And the other thing I wanted to check was the price of tomatoes. Okay, lettuce. Best price is January. Okay, best price is January. Tomatoes, also January. Strawberries, also January. Okay, so there's no difference between any of those. However, I think we also have other options on this production. I don't have to walk over to it. We can produce, good grief, okay, basics. Tomato, lettuce, strawberries, potatoes, sunflower, sugar beets, soybeans, corn and cotton. Now I don't know how much relatively we produce. It's 1,500 a month. Whereas tomatoes, yeah, we're producing the same. Potatoes, actually, the productions on these are 1,500 per month, regardless of. Oh no, actually, they're not. Tomatoes is 1 for 1. Lettuce produces less, takes more water. Strawberries produce twice as much, so 3,000 litres, but they're half the value of tomatoes. Potatoes, you get 4,500 litres. Sunflowers, you get 1,500. Sugar beets, you get 6,000. Soybeans, you get 1,500. Corn, you get 2,250, and cotton, you get 1,500. But, so if we look at, whoops, wrong way. If we look at the tomatoes again. Hello, where did you go? Okay, tomatoes are 560 per 1,000 litres. Cotton is 1,300 per 1,000 litres. That's a good crop to grow. Sugar beets is 148, but you produce 6,000, so multiply it by 4 is 600-ish. Potatoes is multiplied by 3, about 600-ish. Corn, I can't remember, it was 1.5. It's about 700 for right now. That's soybeans was 1,200. Sunflowers 800. Canola one. So we could produce soybeans in there and make more money. Anyway, let's jump